And my last case is City of Saline versus Lisa Dehart.
Jesse Ojek, City of Saline.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Can you state your name?
My name is Lisa Dehart.
Okay, and are we proceeding to a formal hearing?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes.
Your Honor, I believe this is Ms. Dehart's appeal of a finding at the informal hearing, and the city would call Office of
just give me
Belknap.
1 second. My notebook is missing. Any opening statements from either party? Mr. Ojek.
No opening statement.
Ms. Dehart, is there anything you'd like to say for an opening?
Here's that paper.
I am asking that you, this is an appeal on a case. I just want to make sure you have a photo with you.
Ma'am, that's
about
not,
a-
ma'am, that's not the appropriate way to enter evidence.
I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
you did enter it.
Okay. You should have a copy of it is what I'm saying. I'm sorry. So what I'm trying to.
I don't have any, ma'am, I don't have anything.
Oh,
Okay.
at the time of the appeal.
Okay, at the time that I made the appeal, I made this photo, and I have others available, and they received it at the court, and they said that it would be with the paperwork. So I can either show it to you now, but what I'm trying to let you know is that I'm asking for an appeal on the magistrate's
appeal, ma'am.
ruling.
You're,
The appeal.
I'm
This is your
appealing.
hearing.
Right, so I would like you to, I don't know the right word, that I received a lane violation. I'm sorry, I wrote it down so I can try it. Is it okay that I read some of this? Just, okay.
Totally fine, ma'am. I just want to make sure you understand you have appealed this case. This is your appeal right now. So we're having
Okay.
another formal hearing right now in front of
Why
me,
don't you have the
okay?
paperwork?
So just like your other hearing.
I don't you have the
Okay.
picture?
So that I received an impeding traffic ticket for improper lane use for driving straight in a right turn only at Michigan and Riverside on November of 2021. I tried to explain to the magistrate at the last Zoom that the lane was not marked right turn only,
She said
and
it
she
was.
continued to say that it was. I did not want to continue to argue with the magistrate. And when we left the court, we went back to the intersection, took a picture, and turned this in to the court.
You said that
Ma'am,
you-
can you
And they
please
have it
put
here.
that down?
Yes, yes. So I submitted evidence to prove that the lane is not marked as a right turn only lane, which is what I got my ticket for. And I paid the fine, and they said that I could ask for an appeal, and
you get the-
that I would get the sorry, I have a little coach husband next to me, so I
I know, and we can
apologize
hear him.
for
If he
that.
could please not, we can pick
Yeah,
up. So,
I very much have to apologize for that because he does that. I'm really sorry for that. You deserve more respect than that, so I apologize. So the appeal is just that I wanted to appeal the judgment, and that I submitted evidence that clearly shows that this is not a right turn only. And I don't know what, I won't pick up the paper again because you told me not to, but it is definitely it's marked clearly that the way I drove was fine. I guess is the best way for me to say that to you. I don't know if it's at Riverside and US 12.
Thank you. Mr. Ojak, do you have any witnesses for the people?
Call Officer Belknap.
Okay. Officer Bell, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, ma'am.
Lower your hand, state and spell your name for the record, please.
I'm Officer John Belknap, JOHN for the city of Saline.
And you're employed as a police officer by the city. Can you briefly tell us your history as a police officer?
I've been with the city of Saline for about 8 years. Before that, I was a sergeant at Pittsfield Township Police. I retired from there in 2013 and started with the city of Saline in 2014.
And you were on duty on November 10th of 2021?
I was.
Approximately 7:48 in the morning.
I was.
And you were in the area, at least it's the area of Michigan Ave and Whitlock,
I was, sir.
and that's in the city of Saline, Washington County, state of Michigan.
It is.
Were you there randomly or were you there for a certain purpose?
I was there for a certain purpose, sir.
And what was that purpose? Why were you there?
We had received, we being dispatch at Saline Police, had received 2 calls from motorists west of the city on Michigan Avenue complaining about a green Mercury Villager, Ford Windstar van that was eastbound on Michigan coming towards the city. The complaints were that it was passing in no passing zones and that people were having to go off the road to avoid or to give room for oncoming traffic to pass. And so I was sitting at Whitlock specifically looking for that. I do have an emailed statement from one of the witnesses, but I'm not sure that's really appropriate or admissible since these are all issues that happened outside of the city.
So I was just looking for the reason you were there. And did you see that vehicle at that location at some point after you waited?
I did.
And can you tell us what you observed?
I can. I had pulled into the mobile station and drove around behind it. So I was on the east side of the mobile station, on the easternmost drive of the mobile station, which is pretty much near Whitlock Drive. And as I got into position to watch, I saw the green van that I ended up stopping was in the right-hand lane coming down the hill from Austin Road. Austin is also Riverview that goes to the south, Austin Road. The vehicle was passing other vehicles that were in the main travel lane, and the vehicle in question merged over fully into the lane as it was passing the first drive of the mobile station. I can give a description. I actually went and measured it out on Google Maps, and I can describe the signage of the road. After you pass Austin Road, about 165 feet later, there is a sign. It's a yellow diamond sign that clearly states that right lane ends. Also at that yellow diamond sign that states right lane ends, the hashed white line that separates 2 eastbound lanes of traffic ends. About 200 feet past that sign and the end of the hashed white line, there is another yellow diamond sign. And that yellow diamond sign is a graphic that lists a straight line on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, it has a line that curves over to the left that once again indicates that the lane on the right-hand side of the road is ending and should merge over. After that sign, approximately 365 feet, you come to River Oaks Drive. River Oaks Drive is the entrance to the trailer, not the trailer park, is the entrance to the apartment complex there. After the entrance to the apartment complex, which is River Oaks Drive, the lane starts to noticeably narrow. Where Mrs. DeHart ended up completing the merge over was approximately 290 feet past River Oaks Drive. Additionally, as she was merging over, not only did she do so with apparently not using her signal to merge over, the car and
I use my signal all the time.
Ma'am, you can't make any comments right now.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I forgot.
No problem. Anyways, as she was merging over, she was almost forcing herself between a line of traffic, and the vehicle in front of which she was merging had to slow down. I was able to see that its headlights dipped briefly as she was merging over in front of it. I ended up stopping her quite a bit east of downtown. Took me a little while because traffic's difficult at that time. I stopped her for I guess the most appropriate charge would be the improper passing or the failing to yield, as she merged over in front of the car that had to slow down to let her in. And I issued her the ticket for impeding traffic. The ticket was not issued for going straight through at a right turn only at River. That might have been a misunderstanding with the magistrate, but that wasn't what the traffic stop was for, and that wasn't what the ticket was for. The ticket was for continuing in the right turn lane past River Oaks, where the lane had ended, and merging over in other traffic that had to slow down to allow her in.
At the point she entered, how wide was that right-hand lane at that point? Was it a full lane?
No, not at all. The lane starts narrowing significantly right at River Oaks, and she was finishing her merge about 290 feet past River Oaks. There were no white lines delineating two lanes traveling east. Additionally, where she completed the merge, instead of having two lane widths, I'd estimate there was about maybe 1 1/4 to third lane widths where she completed her merging over.
And you said you were at the mobile station where, when she completed her merge, where was she in relation to the mobile station?
There are two driveways to the mobile station, and the first one she came to would have been the west drive to the mobile station. She was completing the merge at the west drive of the mobile station as she was passing the driveway to mobile.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Dehart, do you have any questions for the officer?
Yes. My question for the officer is that
You there.
I'm trying to do this correctly, so if I do anything that's wrong, I appreciate when you correct me. So my question for the officer is that I changed my lanes with my, well, that's
Okay.
not for the officer, but I always use my turn indicators when I change my lanes. I guess I'm a little confused about the fact that
Your Honor,
is not
this is
at
questions
all,
at this point.
that was,
Ms. Dehart, can you ask questions? The opportunity to testify. It's your opportunity to ask the officer questions about what he had just testified to.
okay, that this testimony that he is saying now is not what was testified in the previous magistrate court. He's changed his testimony from then.
It's
And
not your
I-
turn to testify. It's your turn to ask him questions, not me.
Yeah, I'm asking,
Answer
okay,
questions.
I'm sorry, I'm asking him why he's changed his testimony. All of this information is not part of what was at the magistrate. So why did he change this? I do want to know, did he go back and check the lane usage, which is what I was told, that it was improper lane usage because the court magistrate said that the lane was properly
I'm going to object again.
marked.
The officer hasn't had a single question to be able to
Yeah, okay,
answer.
I did, okay, so why did he change his testimony and say that it's not for improper lane use when that's what we did in the previous magistrate? Why is this testimony different than what we talked about in the previous? I was told specifically by the
Ma'am,
magistrate.
one question at
repeatedly.
ma'am, one question at a time. Let him answer.
Okay,
Okay, my testimony in this case is a little more detailed than it would have been in the informal hearing. And the reason for that is, and I actually took measurements on Google Earth and the washtenaw.org mapping system. That's how I had the exact measurements of the signage, where the road markings were, et cetera. As far as what you were stopped for, You were stopped for, it could be improper lane use. It could be the fail to yield for merging over. There were a number of violations that would have been appropriate. And I ended up issuing the impeding because that's a 0-point violation.
But I asked you, why did you change your testimony? Because the, what is it called, the informal hearing? So you didn't really answer my question. My question is, why did it change from the lane usage, which the magistrate previously made it very, very clear that this was specifically regarding using the right lane to go through, and that the right lane, she repeatedly said that the right lane is a right turn only lane clearly marked, which it is not, and I have proven that. So
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
to know
What
why I
magistrate
just feel-
said, didn't say,
Ms. DeHart, hold on, there's an objection. Mr. Ochoa,
I'm going to object to what the magistrate said or didn't say is not relevant to this case. And indeed,
Yes, it is.
a formal hearing is a complete redo of the trial. It's not really an appeal. It's a complete redo. And this ticket speaks for itself. This is the same ticket in the file that the officer wrote at the time. It says impeding traffic.
Improperly.
I'm gonna sustain that objection. Ms. DeHart, please move on.
Okay, and this is not an appeal then? Is that what he's saying, telling me now? I was told this was an appeal.
This is your appeal from your informal hearing, ma'am. I
Right.
sustain his objection regarding whatever the magistrate said. This is a brand new hearing. I don't have any information about what the magistrate said. So
Where's her picture?
you cannot question him anymore about what the magistrate said.
Oh,
I can't question him what the magistrate said? Is that what you just told me?
No, correct.
Okay.
just ask him if there's.
I, oh my gosh, okay, I guess. Is the officer aware that at the intersection of Michigan and Riverview, the lane signage that's posted clearly indicates that there is a left turn lane, there is a straight through lane, and then there is a straight through and right turn lane. Is the officer aware of that?
There are, as you're coming eastbound, I'm assuming you're talking about the eastbound lanes. As you're coming eastbound, there is a left turn lane that goes north onto Austin Road. And then there are two other lanes, the inside lane and the curb lane. And both of those are allowed to go straight through at that point.
Right,
That's what you did.
and that's what I did, and that's what you testified to, and I clearly, why are you changing your testimony? Are you just trying to keep my money? That just doesn't make sense to me. Why
I'm
are
going
you
to
doing
object, Your
that?
Honor. That's not appropriate.
Sustained.
I agree with you, it's not appropriate, but I'm very sorry, Your Honor. This is clearly not appropriate either. It's a very, okay, and then I would like to say,
We have a witness.
I do have a witness.
Ms.
Can I have a
Ms.
witness?
DeHart, if you have any further questions for for Officer Belknap,
No.
we have any further questions for him?
All right, is Officer Belknap aware that I had someone else in the car?
Yes, you had your husband, and he made it very clear that he worked for a police department. And I felt that he was actually trying to get you some courtesy for that. And in fact, that's perhaps why I issued the impeding traffic and not the traffic
Can I
violation
talk? Can I
with the
talk?
points on it.
Can I talk?
And he was making himself aware because of a courtesy to other police officers. And he made it very clear.
Ma'am, you cannot testify right now, and everything you're saying, I am not taking into evidence. You have
Okay, I'm very sorry, Your Honor.
Ma'am, it's my turn to speak.
Okay.
Opportunity to cross-examine the officer. If you have any questions for him, you may ask him questions, but your questions are not evidence. So you do not go off on all these other things that the magistrate was talking about, because I'm not taking note of any of that. Those are not, evidence, those are just questions. What the officer is saying is the evidence that I'm going to take into account. So if you have any further questions that you would like to ask the officer, please do so.
Thank you. Then another question that I have is that the officer was not the only one in attendance. And could he please tell me, there was his supervisor or whatever their ranking is, was also there. And
What is the question, ma'am? You're testifying again. Can
Like,
you please ask
what-
the officer a question?
okay, so what was the other officer there for, other than him? Yeah. And
That was
was he, oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry because I'm saying sorry too much and I'm not used to court proceedings. So I apologize for all of that. So to form my question is, was Officer Belknap told to write me a ticket by his superiors?
No, absolutely, I was not. That was my supervisor. That was Sergeant Andy Hartwig. The reason he came out to back me up was because I was making a traffic stop on a vehicle that we received at least 2 calls of complaining about some reckless driving. And so he came out to back me up in case I needed it. And in this case, I didn't.
So you want to make this-
If you're waiting for me, I just feel used here. I'm not going to try to fight a court system that does this. I would like to know why you told me that I should go around and tell other people that the Celine officer is a jerk. And I told you that is not something respectful that I would ever do. My husband, it's not professional, and I
I'm
want
going
to
to
know
object
why
again,
you
Your
felt
Honor.
that
This
was
is not relevant
necessary.
to anything to this case.
Sustained.
How? Oh, all
May
right. I know. I'm sorry.
May I
It's all a
address-
joke.
May I address it anyways, Your Honor?
No, there wasn't a question for you to respond to.
Okay,
It was why he would feel that was necessary to do that. That was my question. Why did you tell me that?
okay, here's the thing. In my professional life and my personal life, I am rather lighthearted and self-deprecating. And when I give people tickets to soften the blow and to make them understand that I'm a normal person and not a robot of a cop, I'll often say, hey, here's a citation. In order to take care of this, you can either go online, or if you need to set a date, call the court, set a date, and tell them some nasty cop from Celine gave you a ticket and set a court date. I do that in humor. I don't do that as an insult to other police officers. I don't do that as an insult to your husband who's next to you. I do that because I find that if I make fun of myself, which I'm very comfortable doing, there's a lot of material there. If I make fun of myself and make it light, that a lot of times people accept it a lot better and they understand that I'm a real person and I'm not a robot. And that just seems to kind of, in most cases, make the whole situation a little easier on everybody. And that's why I said those things.
All right. And are you aware that I submitted photos to the courts?
No, I am not.
For the record, Your Honor,
Because
I am
there's,
not either.